Hi, I'm Deborah,
And I'm Lawrence.
and in this video we're going to talk about what a panic attack is. So panic attacks are pretty widely misunderstood. I mean, I misunderstood them until
Yeah, same
a
here.
little while ago. So we're going to talk first about what actually happens in your body and why this happens. So anxiety, like normal anxiety, that's a natural human response to a stressful situation. It evolved from way back from the first people who, if they weren't aware of their surroundings and not on edge, but you know, sometimes hyper aware.
Yeah.
They then when they're walking through the jungle.
We're gonna get mauled by a something.
Right. And their level of attention walking through a jungle had to be different than the level of attention to their surroundings when they're in front of the fire at home. So let's say your cave person is walking through the jungle and hears a growl. So what the body does is trigger a fight or flight response for obvious reasons. Your body wants to make you capable of either fighting or running. So I'm going to read this because this is the complicated scientific stuff. So responding to your threat, your body starts the biological process of fight or flight, literally to prepare you for either one. Your hypothalamus, a region of your brain, releases hormones that start a chain of other hormones being released by the pituitary system and the adrenal glands. The adrenal gland releases cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. This speeds up your metabolism and increases blood flow to your muscles. So that's exactly what your body is supposed to do if you are in a potentially dangerous situation, or sometimes nowadays, it could be just something extremely stressful and it gets kicked in. So if it turns out there isn't any danger or the situation ends, you're able to get yourself out of it, eventually your body goes back to normal. And that's the way it's supposed to work. So panic attacks are different from this normal fight or flight response in two main ways. One is that there is no threat present with panic attacks. In almost every instance, people who have a panic attack were not able to identify anything that triggered it off. Yes, something is happening in the brain that triggers a panic attack, but
in a lot of cases, there isn't any obvious trigger.
Yeah, I mean, there is something that triggers the brain to produce this, but it doesn't. We don't know what it is at this point, and it doesn't happen in reaction to anything outside your brain. The second way that panic attacks are different from the fight or flight response. Try to say that 3 times fast. Is that is that the symptoms are in many cases disabling. So obviously that kind of would counter if this were a normal fight or flight response, and the symptoms of the fight or flight response disable you, then that would not work. But
it's very counterproductive.
Yes, very counterproductive. But the symptoms of a panic attack are in many cases so severe that they are disabling.
Yeah, it's going to leave you floored. You're not going to be
literally in some cases. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do much else.
Yeah. So obviously it is not a normal reaction in any way. This is not a productive reaction. Many people who have experienced panic attacks have described them in general in 3 different ways. Feeling like you're having a heart attack, feeling a strong need to escape, although there is no danger present, and feeling, not rationally, that you're going to die. In other words, there's no particular reason why you would think that. In order you're not tumbling off a cliff or something.
Yeah. In that case, I'd say it's
that would be irrational.
reasonable.
Yeah. So the criteria for a panic attack is a discrete period, in other words, a contained period of intense fear of discomfort in which 4 or more of the following symptoms developed abruptly and reach a peak within 10 minutes. So palpitations, pounding heart or accelerated heart rate, sweating, trembling or shaking, sensations of shortness of breath or smothering, feeling of choking, chest pain or discomfort, nausea or abdominal distress. feeling dizzy, unsteady, lightheaded, or faint, derealization, a feeling of unreality, or depersonalization, being detached from oneself, fear of losing control or going crazy, fear of dying, paresthesias, which is numbing or tingling sensations, and chills or hot flashes. There's also something called a limited symptom attack, which is a milder version of the panic attack with fewer than 4 panic-related symptoms. Most panic attacks peak after 10 minutes because your body just can't sustain this fight or flight response. Even this irrational one. So as far as causes, we don't know the causes at this point. It does seem to run in some families, but at the same time, there are people who have it who have no family history. So it's very important, if you think that you might be having panic attacks, to see a medical professional and get a diagnosis. There are a lot of different reasons, but one is that the panic attack symptoms can be the same as those produced by some life-threatening illnesses. Okay, and this is actually the same reason that you want to get depression disorder if you think depression diagnosis if you think you have depression, because there can be underlying conditions that will cause depression. So it's always important to see a medical professional about a diagnosis, even if you feel there's nothing that can be done. Just the diagnosis is important for a lot of reasons. So another reason that's with panic attacks, it's important to see a doctor, get a diagnosis, and hopefully treatment, is because panic attacks can lead to agoraphobia. What happens is that, well, you kind of described this well last time.
Yeah. If you have a panic attack in a certain place, doing a certain thing, you're going to start to associate that place, thing, whatever, with bad feelings. For example, if you are in a doctor's office and you have a panic attack, you're going to probably get a negative association with doctor's offices. If you're driving a car and you have one, you're going to negatively associate driving a car with a panic attack, and then you're not going to want to drive, you're not going to want to go to the doctor's, whatever. And that list of things that you negatively associate with, that's going to start growing, and at a point you're not going to want to go outside, or maybe even just move, get out of bed, anything. You may or may not end up becoming just trapped.
Yeah, people call it housebound, but basically it's agoraphobia.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, then some people don't just have like a negative association. If they don't know enough about panic attacks, they think that the panic attack was caused by that place or activity
or thing, whatever.
So, again, you see what the end result is. So, anyway, in another video, we're going to go over treatment, what are the possible treatment options. And, we're going to include also, we did do a video about self-care after a panic attack. So you might want to look at that. We do talk a little bit about derealization and depersonalization in that. And that's something that you actually don't see a lot about. So we thought it was kind of important to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yep. So
if you found this video helpful, you can give it a like. If you didn't, you can give it a dislike. If you'd like to say anything at all, you can leave in the form of a comment. And if you'd like to see more content like this, you can subscribe. But in any case, we hope that you have a nice day.
Take care.